I'm not going to get into that, but it's huge. All right, so change the landscape of government, education. We're all aware that education could probably use a little overhaul, or the fabric of behavior analytic principles could make a difference. And then a real interest in society at large. I don't know if you know this, but there's actually a little, well, you might call it cult, but down in Mexico called Los Ocones, and it was Skinner's vision, like a Walden 2. And you familiar with that? I see you nodding your head. It's like basically the principles of behavior analysis and positive strategies being used in this community, and it's self-sustaining. But it would be neat if eventually behavior analysis could get to that point. So, number 2, your branding of your company or your entrepreneurism has to be, you need to have a clear, unique, and authentic feel. So one of ours is what Marlene mentioned, was just that, everything we do is Skinnerian from the ground up, and we can pick up the phone and call Julie Vargas and just get feedback. And people like Dr. Bailey, we like to go to the people that were doing the research in the beginning and get information. And I think what's really cool is Dr. Bailey he actually will, it's amazing. Has anyone ever corresponded with him online? Matt, you have? Have you? It's amazing that if you have an ethical question, Dr. Bailey will respond sometimes within less than 24 hours and answer the question. It's amazing, the guy who wrote the book. So being unique, authentic, and tying to some of the, what I like to call the OGs, the original gangsters. So the other thing is that we find ourselves that with our company, again, think about, as we're doing this exercise, I want you to think about your company and your entrepreneurial situation or your agency. Think about how you're branding yourself. And the second important thing is that we make it clear we're the opposite of a broad stroke of services. So we're more like laser focused. So we make it very clear to any provider or if someone from an organization calls us, or a school district, we're very clear right at the gate that we embrace all disciplines, but we don't do cognitive therapy, we don't do developmental type stuff, the Freudian stuff, but we have a respect for all disciplines, but we're very laser focused on that. So that's part of our brand. You got to be authentic. You have to be very clear what you care about, and then that's the way to get momentum. So when it comes to the application, like we talked about, across many different landscapes is our interest. And the other thing, when it comes to companies that are successful, we feel that, and researching them, they often have to push the envelope. You have to push the envelope sometimes and fail a lot, which I know about that. Ask Heather, she knows that I know that. So one of the things is that we find that one of our services, we feel so strong about getting learners in the community and having a controlled setting where we can collect data through a camera. We went out and got these stretched limousines, and we bleed financially on it, but we make up for it in other areas of our margin. But we found that this is part of our brand. We want to treat individuals with developmental disabilities with dignity. We want them to be treated first rate, first class. There's nothing wrong with the yellow school bus, but there's stigmas with it. And the van with the big number 18 on the back, our goal is to get away from that, and not only that, but provide a safe environment. It's kind of nice because these limos have a partition where you can't beat up the driver. So that's raise your hand. No. So dignity is an important thing, and I often tell this. I don't want to bore you with it, but the thing when things get really hard, and you are on your own with your business, or you're part of an organization, there's days that you wake up that it's hard. And I always go back. I make a list of things that are reinforcers for me, and on those really rough days, this is what we encourage our staff to do: is go through and get momentum. We call it like behavioral momentum. Go through all the things that you've accomplished. And one of those things is that I go back and think about every time this limo thing, every time we get a ticket because our neighbor called the police, or because it's true, or because it's the signage on the back isn't just right and the municipal court's bothering us. Every time those little things happen and we pay a $3,000 surcharge because a driver had one accident 10 years ago, I think about the reason for it. So go back and think about the reason that you do what you do, and it gives you that energy. And for us, it just goes back to one moment when a parent came to the Sky Zone and introduced herself to me, and she said, my child who myself and my child have always been like treated as the black sheep in our neighborhood. And every time the small school bus comes by, my child runs around, knocks on doors, and finally gets in the bus. But finally, she said, for the first time ever, Mr. Steve pulled up, and it was really cool the way she said it. I almost started to cry. She said that Mr. Steve pulled up and opened the door for her and her son, and all the neighbors that are really nasty to her were just looking at her, and she was like, mm-hmm. That's what she did. She told me this story, and she felt dignity. So that's important to us. Next, building the culture within number 3. Look at it. Think about companies that are very successful. Again, it's more than just behavior analytic principles. It leads up to something larger. So Harley Davidson, I just found this online, this image, and I'm thinking, what makes someone tattoo the name of a motorcycle on their arm? Because Harley Davidson comes with this soul or this culture that drives them. Does that make sense? So like their personal mission statement is fulfilling dreams of personal freedom. And I'm not a Harley rider, but I love the motorcycles. But you know, there's a whole vision that Harley riders have about being free. Do you ever notice that? That's like something that's in their theme. So you don't see companies and you don't see people tattooing things with companies that have no soul and have no meaning. Like, you don't see Windex on the back of somebody on a tattoo. Follow me? So families. Our culture is basically built on the employee's family. So everyone in our company, if you take 300 some people and you pick up the phone and you call them, they all know that their family comes first. And the reason they all know that is because we call them and ask them what comes first. And then they also know that it's the idea that the oxygen mask on the airplane, that you have to put it on first before you help someone else. We found that's important. So it's not just talk. It's literally every single day their family comes first. There are times, though, that when it starts to negatively impact other families, and that's when we bring the person in. Next, connecting people. This is does anyone here do behavioral consultation? Raise your hand. Cool. And do you do it, do you find yourself very spread out? Raise your hand if you're spread out from some of the people that you supervise, the people you coach. Exactly, Tara. So what we found is we have to engineer situations for people to get together. So these red spots are different employees in different areas of the Northeast. And we found that we have to come up with artificial means of connecting to people because they're not going to see each other. And there's something different when you see somebody versus when you text them. It's a lot harder to tell someone something they don't want to hear when you're face to face with them and you look in their eyes than it is when you're just emailing and texting people. And we've gotten so far from that our company creates reasons for people to connect and venues. So it's really cool. Like on Facebook, we'll have this is a strategy I suggest all companies consider. Create a closed group. You have to monitor it so nobody puts anything stupid on there. But monitor a closed group, have people connect, and your people on your small team, they all find out about when someone had a birthday, when someone had a baby, when they got married. Those things are important. People want to know that you care about their livelihood and their family, not just what kind of productivity can you get from them. Make sense? And the other thing is we need to actually engineer venues because these people are so spread out in the field that we're in, where we're constantly reaching out to people by phone. We have to, besides using video consultation face-to-face like a Skype, it's actually important to create venues where you connect people. And this was pretty cool. What we do is we create a regular dance. Our goal is to do it quarterly. So bringing people together and staff together, a lot of them have never met. But we form these dances so that everyone gets together and they look each other in the eyes and they all have name tags, kind of like what you guys have. It's really uncomfortable when you don't remember someone's name, but when their name tag's right there, it's good. It's so cool that I had to show you this one kid. Excuse me. All right, so this is like what it's all about, if you ask me. He's like break dancing, and I don't want to bore you with that. But then the other thing is, not only is it great to see, bringing the employees together rallying around the kids and your clients, but you have to also create adult opportunities, I think. So the way I said it sounds weird, adult opportunities, but I don't mean like B-Day after dark, but what I mean is bringing people together. Is that the emergency signal? Oh, we have an Amber Alert. Uh-oh. Maybe this is a good time to talk about having fun. But basically, we find it's important to connect to people physically. I remember back in the day, Terry was part of a large organization. He felt it was important that once a year people connected. And for us, we do things like making sure that you have fun. So we brought everyone together for this venue, and this is what they did. I just think we get away from the human side of the connection to people. And I want to, we're behavior analysts and we look at data all the time. But what happened? We lost our screen here. Anybody know? Let's keep going. All right. So the clout score. I'm moving to number 4. Oh, great. So the next thing in branding is we're going to start looking at the future now, and in order for your company or your brand to take off, you're going to have to, even though as much as it's not really fun, you're going to have to bring someone on board, or you're going to need to learn yourself the key